The most striking fact in this verse comes later. It says, يُغْشِ اللَّيْلَ النَّهَارَ يَطْلُبُهُ حَثِيثًا. Allah makes the night to follow the day as a veil, as a hiding cover, swiftly, quickly, very fastly. يُغْشِ اللَّيْلَ النَّهَارَ يَطْلُبُهُ حَثِيثًا. It's really amazing. The verses that speak about the following of the day and night are numerous in the Holy Quran. And the only instance where the Quran says that the night and the day were following each other swiftly is this verse. Why? Because this was at the moment of the creation. And scientists could not understand this. If the night follows the day or the day follows the night swiftly, this means that the rate of revolution of the Earth around its own axis must be much faster than the present day rate.
Yes.
And actually this has been proved very recently by a very detailed scientific research. Why? Because this is describing the very early stages of creation of the universe. This is the phase, the early phase of the creation of heavens and earth.
Yes.
Recently, scientists came to understand that paleoclimatic conditions, all the climatic conditions, are recorded in the bodies of plants and animals. So if I get a tree stem and make a cross-section in it, I will see the successive stages of growth in what we call the annular rings. And in the early days, they thought that each ring would represent a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they could count the age of a plant, of a tree, by counting the annular rings
Yes.
in its stem. With greater magnifications, scientists came to realize that each ring contains hundreds of other lines. And they wondered, what are these lines? After a detailed analysis, they came to realize that these lines represent the 4 seasons of the year. Autumn, summer, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And they saw in these lines the 12 lunar months of the year. And they saw in these lunar months the weeks of each month, the days of each week, and the night and the day. When they were doing this, they were doing it with the objective that if they find that the spring ring, for example, was thick, this means that the spring was rich in sunshine and in rain.
Yes.
If the spring ring is narrow, this means that it was poor in sunshine and in rain. And they were doing this to try to
increase the harvest, or
trying to anticipate future climatic conditions.
Mm-hmm.
If we understand the rhythm of a change of climate in the past, we can anticipate how the future will be.
Like a forecast.
Because this goes into cycles, actually.
Yes.
Into cycles. So they were doing this really on a large scale in many universities. But when they were doing this, they started to find out that the older the annual ring, the more days in it.
The more days it has.
The more days in it. And they wondered, why? Why more days? And the answer was the speed of rotation of the Earth around its own axis was much quicker than today. This means that the rate of revolution of the Earth around its own axis is slowing with time. And they were advised to look for fossils, because fossils can go back to thousands of millions of years
ago. Yeah.
And when they found something like coral reefs,
Mm-hmm.
and the coral reefs grow like a tree with rings around, you see, as the reef grows in rings as well.
Under the sea.
And they, for their surprise, they found that in the early days of the creation of the Earth, the speed of revolution of the Earth around its own axis was at least 6 times quicker than the present day rate of revolution. And they came to realize that the number of days at the moment of the creation of the Earth exceeded 2,200 days per year. 2,200 days per year. And the length of the day and night together were less than 4 hours. And it came to this observation, developed a new branch of science called dendrochronology. And dendron in Latin means tree, and chronos means time, delimiting the time by the trees, by studying trees stems. And dendrochronology has proved this fact, that the rate of revolution of the Earth around its own axis at the moment of the creation of the Earth was much quicker than the present-day rate. And it is slowing gradually with time. And scientists wanted to anticipate what will result for that slowing of the rate of revolution of the Earth around its own axis with time. What will happen in the future? They said the Earth slows in its rate of revolution a fraction of a second every 100 years.
Okay.
And they started looking what will happen in the future. They said the moment will come when the Earth has to change its direction of revolution. Today the Earth rotates from west to east. And that's why the sun seems rising from east and setting in the west. If this direction is reversed, the sun will rise from the west. And this is one of the signs of Akhirah, as prophesied by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he is quoted to have said that أول العلامات ظهورا طلوع الشمس من مغربها أو الدابة تكلم الناس ضحى. The first sign of Akhirah is the rising of the sun from the west, or the dabba, a form of a cattle that will speak to people in a clear-cut language, in a plain language, you see, warning them of Akhirah. And when the very first sign of Akhirah is seen by man, the door of forgiveness is locked.
Yes.
No forgiveness can be accepted
but
after that.
The revolution of the Earth is decreasing every single year.
Yes.
There would be a point where it would stop.
Yes.
And then it would go back.
Yeah, it changes.
And just like the big crunch, as we were speaking, will happen faster, I think this will happen faster also. Because the return of revolution in the opposite direction.
Yes.
Would it be fast also?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
The same.
But this will be in Akhirah, and everything will be finished.
Yeah.
We will not watch it. We will not witness it.
I just want to go back to the climate thing that we were talking about.
Yes.
You said that in the plant, in the tree, we can scientists can tell and predict about how the weather, how the climate will be in the future.
Yes.
So as we can say that you know, history repeats itself. As we say that, we say climate repeats itself as well.
Yes. Actually, climate goes into cycles. You see, for example, one of these cycles is what we call glaciation, or glacial periods. Glacial periods, we find that the snow creeps from one of the poles of the Earth towards the equator, or from both poles sometimes. Why, we don't know. Probably because the Earth comes in a particular position that would diminish the amount of energy of the sun coming to the Earth. And that's why we find the glacial creep. Ice starts to creep from one of the poles towards the equator. And as this happens, we'll have ice deserts or glacial deserts in the northern hemisphere, and the desert belt extending from Mauritania to Central Asia, which is now one of the most arid regions of the Earth, will change into a heavily rainy period. And of course, this has been going on into cycles. Glacial, interglacial, glacial, interglacial phases all the time. And of course, climate goes also in cycles. To prove to man that our existence in that universe is not chaotic. It goes according to certain plans that can be predicted, that can be followed, that can be anticipated.
Muslims, we believe in the stages. Allah created the universe in stages.
Yes.
But in the end of time, and would He destroy it in stages,
No.
or it would be a sudden?
No, sudden.
So we have to be prepared as Muslims every single
definitely.
second of the day.
We have to be prepared.
And there is no scientific explanation when this destruction would happen.
It cannot be calculated because, as I said, the last hour has got its own laws, governed by the divine instruction. Be and it will be.
And it is far from scientific
It's far
law.
from scientific calculations. And when I wrote about these topics, you see, I received a fax from one of the scholars, Islamic scholars, saying that, does this mean that you can calculate akhirah, when it will happen? If the earth is slowing at the rate of a fraction of a second every 100 years, this is, you can calculate the moment when the sun will rise from the west. I said, no. Because as the Quran says about akhirah, ثَقُلَتْ فِي السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَا تَأْتِيكُمْ إِلَّا بَغْتَةً. The last hour will come suddenly. It will come really at a great suddenness, you see. It will strike everything. It will break the laws of this worldly life. And it has its own laws, its own particulars that are completely different from the laws that are governing our current or present day universe.
So we can